You woke? Time to get up. I know it's been a long time and I know you've been waiting, but Thought Your Woke No Speed Limit Time podcast is finally back. So make sure if you haven't hit that like button, you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure that you hit that today. Today I want to talk about the specific thing I found out about the Iranian conflict through a little research. So listen to this and tell me what you think. So I was just reading through some stuff here and I noticed some interesting things here. According to a Swiss court, has determined that Israeli government owes Iran NAS $1 million. Actually, it's $1.2 billion. And there's other assets that I've seen in other articles that show that Israel basically owes Iran money, and this debt has been owed since 1979. There was a joint company at one time operated by both uh, the Israeli government and the Iranian government. Before 1979, uh, Israel had several claims with the Shah, or several deals with the Shah of Iran, who, by the way, is also Western backed. He was backed by the Americans and he was backed by the British. That they had several dealings with this particular individual. Now, those particular dealings they had were like oil engineers from Iran were in Israel. Israel even saw Iran as a Muslim, non-Arabic ally, because even after the Six-Day War, the Iranians were sending oil to the Israel, and once the Ayatollah took over, and of course he had this thing against Israel. You know, he wanted to launch a war against Israel. There were debts still owed from when the Shah was the leader of the country. And I'm not saying this is the main reason for the current conflict, but there are shades of this that says money has something to do with this, oil money. In fact, Israel is being sued by Iran for even more money, according to another report I read on I-24 News, for like $17 billion plus interest. And on this debt right here, the $1 billion is plus interest. Israel claims by law it cannot pay that money back to Iran because Iran is their enemy and they don't have diplomatic relations. The international court says that Iran owes the money, and a lot of lawyers, according to these articles, say that Israel doesn't really have any ground to stand on for not paying the debt back. But if you know bomb everything, kill all the leaders in Iran, or unalive, because that's the word we like to use here. If you unalive or kill all the people in Iran, then who you got to pay the debt back to, right? Maybe that's the game that's being played. And we should ask the questions that we need to ask about this particular situation. And people are not asking the questions they need to ask. Again, this is some oil company. Pull it up here, that supposedly the Israelis owe. In late 1960, TAO, the National Iranian Oil Company, together built an oil pipeline from the southern Israel port of Eilat and the Red Sea, I'm mispronouncing that, sorry, to the Mediterranean Sea of Ashkelon. The pipeline allowed Iranian oil, which was blocked by Egypt, from passage through the Suez Canal to be marketed in Europe. When Shah was swept out of power by the Islamic Revolution in 1979, Iran's relationship with Israel collapsed. Since the early 1990s, Iran pursued Israel through international arbitration over their claims that Israel failed to pay for several oil shipments it received after the revolution. In June 2016, Switzerland's Federal Supreme Court upheld the outcome of landmark proceedings in the country, ordering TAO to pay Iran an eye-watering sum of $1.2 billion. It could be just the beginning. Another arbitration claim worth several billion more also inching along. And I think I saw that somewhere where that's like $17 billion that's also owed by Iran. Either way, this is interesting stuff to find out, that the money out there is owed by Iran. Now, here's something. You could say, hey, maybe the conflict is about this money. Maybe it's about destroying the leadership, and therefore Israel don't have to pay that debt anymore. Or you can say, we got to remember the other side is also true. Two things can be true at the same time. This could be about the debt that's owed to Iran, and this is also about the religious aspect here of where the Ayatollah wants to obliterate Israel. He wants to destroy Israel. He finds it as a bad actor in the area. See, when the Shah was in power, the Shah was backed by the West. Therefore, the Shah was looking for allies in Israel, which is a Western-based type country, which is also an ally of the West, found allyship with Israel. Now, the Ayatollah, who's totally against the West, who doesn't want anything to do with the West, that whole regime doesn't want anything to do with the West, finds Israel as an enemy because it is the reflection of the West and all the evils of the West. So, therefore, yes, that can be true at the same time that Israel and Iran have a conflict over religion and culture, and at the same time, it could all be about money. That's why people need to understand these conflicts. They don't think that's possible. It is absolutely possible.
You have been listening to Thought You're Awoke No Speed Limit Podcast.